to get like a little peek. Obviously, you've got your station all set up. I brought my makeup kit, like my pro makeup kit. You're all set up. I brought my bag. Hold on. A bag that has all the pro stuff in there, all my palette.
Magic. That's a magic bag.
This is the best bag. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's filled with magic.
You know, and I love, especially this bag, I love that you can take the compartments out, you know, and just you've got your little compartments. But I have my brush set, and I also have my little travel brush set that I love. These are brushes I actually made, but I want to see, let's talk about some of your favorite brushes and why. How many brushes do you have, Tracey?
What's that?
How many brushes do you have?
Oh, I would say 800 maybe.
Yeah, this is my pro set.
Yeah. And the reason is I'm a Virgo. Let's just be straight up. And I like to buy the whole set. I do find a couple brushes that I've had over my lifetime that I love and that they don't have a whole set. But
start with one of your favorite brushes, and then I'll get into mine.
So this one was it is still one of my absolute favorite brushes. It's a Prescriptives foundation brush.
Wow. Okay.
This was the very original one from maybe 30 years ago. I have no idea why I haven't lost it yet, but this is by far my favorite. I can use it for everything top to bottom. I could use it for contour, cream contour, powder, foundation, eyeshadow, whatever. I can use this one brush for everything. This is my absolute favorite. Then another favorite of mine.
Is it a synthetic brush, Tracey, or is it hair?
It's nylon. It's synthetic.
Nylon. Okay, so synthetic. Yeah, because I like the synthetics too. I actually have an old, this is the It Cosmetics brush. The synthetic, and then the side for the concealer. I like to use, you know me, I love cream foundations, just going back to what we did on set working with like the Vizioras, the RCMAs.
Love that.
Great. So, this is the foundation that we've created for Ready, Set, Jet that's coming out. But I like the way the nylon actually applies the makeup. It doesn't streak it. I've got some brushes for foundation that are more of a real hair by Dior. And I find those leave a very streaky foundation, appearance. But I really like to go with the nylon synthetic brushes when you're applying anything cream or wet, so to speak.
Right. And it also lays down enough product because sometimes the natural hair bristles, they wipe it right off as they're putting it down. The nylon actually lay it down and it stays. And I also like the ones that have a little bit of that, I don't know if you could see it or not, a little bit of the fiber at the top.
Yes.
Because then you could really buff it. You can really put the powder down or even the cream foundation, and you can really just get it in there and get it in the pores and buff it out. It looks like skin. So this is a very important, it doesn't have to be this exact one. I like this one, but I also like ones that have a little longer of the fibers. So that's another one.
Tracey, who makes that one? Because everybody's going to want to know what the brushes are that we love to use.
This is a Dalium Tools 954. And these little handles, I love it. Like I said, I get in these weird modes where I just have to buy the whole set. So I think I have, 60 of these over there. I can bring it over and show you, but I just love it. And this is another pointed foundation that has it tapered on the edge. I don't know if you could see it or not. It's like sort of tapered. And really get into the corners of spots versus the flat one. The flat one you can too, but this taper I like. I go back and forth.
Flat to apply, to really apply the foundation. And then I like to go in either with a beauty blender or even with my hands and really just to buff it in. So I like the fact that that's tapered because you can actually, the reason you guys that a tapered brush is really good is it allows you to go in there and kind of buff out your complexion and get into the pores. So you have a real flawless face. Going back to what you were saying, size of the brush handle, I like to use the longer brush handles when I'm doing makeup on someone else. When I'm applying it to myself, I tend to like the smaller, shorter ones because I can put them in really quickly and and, you know, do my makeup, and then I can just throw these in my bag.
Yes, agreed. Totally agreed. And the other thing is, you know, you're farther apart and you can have a lighter hand. Like this is probably my top 3 brush. My top 3. And this one is also Dalium, and this is the 941 taper.
Dalium. Tracey, what do you get Dalium? Where do you get that brush? Is it a professional brush?
It's a professional one, and you can go online. It's spelled B as in boy, D as in dog, Ellium, but the silent, so it's Dalium tools. So this one is, you could see it's very light, and it's great on set because you can put a little bit of powder on it and you can get around the hairline. You're not worried about messing up the hairstyle that the hairdresser did. You can just kind of dab a little bit, because on set there's not a lot of people, not a lot of department heads that really love using a lot of powder on camera, especially with high definition, because it just sits in the pores and you see it. So this kind of a brush, it just kind of blends out the shine, gives a little bit of powder, and then you can also use this for contour, because it's just so flexible and light, and it doesn't deposit a whole lot of product. But when you need more product, I would go for something that's a little bit more dense, you know, like a flatter brush that you can, you know, pack it down, pat it in. But I use this. I have several of these because I don't ever double dip with people. I use, you know, for whoever I'm working on, I have their own bag, their own set of makeup, their own set of makeup brushes. And then, but I have several of these, so I can pop one of these in everybody's bag. And then that way I know that I still have my favorite bag, as opposed to just having one or two and always cleaning it in between people. You don't have time for that. You need to.
In COVID right now, it's kind of weird. I was on a set recently, and like they weren't doing any COVID protocols. And I was like, "You're not touching me and doing my makeup. I'll do my own." Yeah, that's so dangerous. But just to back up you guys on brushes, when you want to apply creams, foundations, concealers, liquids, you know, anything that's a wet consistency, you're going to want to go for more of a flat lay nylon brush, one that's synthetic, because it's going to apply your liquid or cream formula without streaking. When you want to go into powders, depending on how much you want to show a powder base, a color, a blush, whatever, the lighter the hair on the brush, the lighter the application will be. So if you're heavy-handed and you don't know how to do your blush, I always say get like a really light as a feather hair versus a stiffer one that's going to really apply it in a more defined way.
Yes,
so the fluffier, softer hairs are always going to apply it in a much more natural looking way than if you go with some of the synthetics, or if you go with a stiffer cut brush.
Right. And when you're applying contour powder or bronzer, the lighter the brush, the better, because you're not going to apply too much. You can err on the side of caution, because you know that, what am I trying to say? Not caution. You can if you pick up powder, you're going to be okay, because it's just going to be a light dusting, versus some of these heavier, more dense brushes, it's going to pick up a lot of powder and you can make a mistake.
So this is going to be eyeshadows. There are going to be multi-use colors that we're coming out with, like super bright color, right? I mean, very. So I'll show you, because we're going to use a really soft brush. You can see how much pigment it's already picked up. You know, just because it's such a lightweight brush, it's not going to be streaky and really look like I put a lot of makeup on. Should more mature women use powder? You know, Tammy, I tend to stay away from powders as I get older, because they tend to really accentuate aging.
You
know,
it sits in the pores and sits in the wrinkles.
Makes you look dry and dull. You know, I think the name of the game as you get older is to lighten and brighten. So even like highlights, using our highlighter is also a great, anti-aging secret. I don't know how much highlighter you used, Tracy. I like to go with a smaller brush on my highlighter. Again,
Yes.
you guys, synthetic hair, nylon, not a fluffy brush. And then I just take it right down, the center of my nose, just to get that bounce of light. And then because it's a stiffer brush, I can really go in under my brows and even right here.
Right.
This is also a great brush for concealer or contour if you want to contour too. So, I don't know what brush you're using for that, for creams.
And the other thing is, I like to use a cream highlight because it layers it. If I just use a powder highlight, honest to God, it's gone within an hour. It's like as if I never even put it on. So if you use a cream highlight first and use a nice dense brush that's like a synthetic brush, just like Shalini did, and then go back in with a fluffier brush and kind of set it with a fluffier brush, and then it stays a lot longer because the highlight I always find comes off quickly if it's a powder.
Yeah, and I also like to go into an angle. Like this is an angle, same kind of brush, guys, that we used for the highlighter and that you could also use for concealer. The angle brush, what I like to do with it, Tracy, is I like everything cream. I like buildable, easy makeup versus getting into too many powders. Just look dirty sometimes.
Yes, they get murky. Yes.
I like to take the angle of this brush and actually, be able to really go in there and contour like some of the more defined areas, like my nose. If I want like I actually learned this trick on The View because we used to use such big brushes for contour. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And at the very end of that makeup artist doing my makeup for The View, she took a really small brush and literally went in and gave me
that line.
Cheekbone, which I really appreciated.
Right.
I was like much thinner than pre-COVID, so I didn't really need it. But now I walk around with this and I'm like, swipe.
You still look fabulous. Are you kidding?
No, but
it's so interesting because we've been contouring and highlighting since the beginning of time.
Yep.
And it really, if for the people out there that don't know this, back before high definition, the lights and the camera, the lights blew out the person's face to the point where you couldn't see the features. So we had to go in and add the features back. Yep. Contour, really heavy contour. That's why when you would see somebody in person that was on camera, say 30 years ago, 25 years ago, everyone would kind of gasp a little bit, be taken back just because there was so much makeup in person that they could see on that person's face and that person's skin, that when high def came around, it was so interesting because we worked on Young and the Restless when they changed over from regular to high def, and the actresses were in shock because they saw themselves so completely differently that they couldn't believe that, first of all, that they would say, we don't have enough makeup on. You have to put more makeup on us.
Yeah.
As soon as you would go onto the set and then the camera, they would see the makeup and say, take it down, take it down, take it down, because it's just different. It's totally different. So we've been contouring way before baking and contouring and powdering and highlighting.
Do you remember all these old?
My favorite, Natural Tan and Nectar Peach.
Yep. So Laura, who's on our team, just did an entire. You can go back, Tracey, and watch it. But she's all into vintage beauty. So she did this whole beauty history and about Max Factor, and I was like, we were doing Max Factor washes under the eye.
Yes.
The whole baking, trend ever started. But this was, one of the ways that we would actually add definition, especially on men.
Men, we use that on men.
Again, an angle brush, an angle, blush brush that would just go in and start to really build and define, features in a way that you wouldn't otherwise get. Obviously, we don't need that much on right now, but there's a lot of ways that we had to create, features.
And we also had to use, when you would put on all this makeup on these men, it would look flat. So we would use those kind of pinker, nectar peachy kind of powders to bring them back to life on their high spots, put a little darker medium tan on their low spots. And it was just all sleight of hand. And it was such a small amount, but it made the biggest difference, But if you put that exact makeup on a man now, they would, on camera, on digital high def, they look crazy.
So Tammy's saying she loves baking, but as she gets older, it's not my friend. No, it's not.
It's not your friend.
Actually, the primer is going to be your friend, Tammy. So, the primer is wonderful for one, it's going to fill in all your fine lines and pores. But under the eye, what I like to do is I like to actually, going back to my makeup artist days, take a bit of the primer on my hand. Tracey's going straight on her face. I like to take the concealer and mix it on my hand.
Yes.
God, it becomes this like silky, creamy, yummy, formula that just, because what you want is you want to avoid accentuating fine lines and making it look dry and dull. And I think sometimes with baking and powders, it gives you like a gray cast.
Yes.
That can make you look really tired, really old, really dull. So finding ways to also warm up that area. That's why we added the purple into the primer, was to give you that halo effect and that bounce of light.
And the other thing is, you want it to look like skin, because when somebody's looking at you and they're talking to you, you could tell when they're looking at your skin, and you could tell if it's too powdered and they're kind of looking at you like, that's really cakey and really powdered. Makeup for every day is different than makeup for the camera. And I think what people need to understand is less is more. Less is more for your everyday. On the camera, sometimes you have to tweak here and tweak there for smoke and mirrors to kind of, make up for someone's flaw or something. But you don't need to do that on a daily basis. You need to just be natural and accentuate what you have.
Right. So let's get into everyday makeup. So one more question. Do you do the same around the lips? Yes, I like to take a seal of my primer, again, with the concealer. And then I just like to go and completely seal my lips. So if you're a smoker, if you notice lipstick bleeds, or you're just like a total gloss girl and you've got gloss going everywhere, this is a really great way to.
What did you use for that?
I use the primer.
Okay.
With a concealer. And then again, you guys, because it's a cream consistency, going into a nylon brush.
Yes.
That is just, easy to use.
And see, I'm using my favorite brush again. Even though it's a little bit bigger, it still does the job.
All right. So quick brush review, you guys. It's already 3:24. Okay. We're going to do like a quick fire, Tracey.
Okay. Tell me.
Favorite brush for foundation. Mine is actually the It Cosmetics brush that's double-sided. I love the way it lays my liquid.
Gotcha. My favorite is the prescriptives that I don't think they make it anymore. So I would say go to the Delium tools instead. And they have these in different shapes. They have them flat, bigger, smaller.
But you like the one with the tapered top because it really helps out your skin. Okay.
I really do. Yes.
Okay. I also like just a flat one. This is from the Body Shop, believe it or not. I was their spokesperson for a number of years.
I remember that. Yeah, you came to Atlanta and I saw you. Yes.
That's great. Oh my God. And you introduced me to Chick-fil-A.
I worked with them last week.
Right. So this one's also great. It's just a really flat, very dense nylon brush. So I feel like it's a very luscious brush for anything wet, but like this is also great for the foundations and just really getting in there and blending out everything. So now concealer, what do you like for concealer?
Concealer, I have mine over there. Let me grab it.
Okay. Hi guys, I like anything. These are the ones that we have. We actually have a few sets if anybody wants these. These are the travel ones that are still a good size, medium sized brush. But again, you're getting that like very stiff nylon. So it's gonna really, really go in there and just very nicely apply your foundation. You can use it anywhere. You can get into the corners of your nose. If you want like an eye lift, what I like about this brush is you can go right up on your eyeshadow and just you can cut your shadow with concealer and then it immediately gives you that lift.
That lift. My favorite, this is my all-time favorite. This is a Shuamora brush that I've probably had for 25 years. This, I mean, this I love, 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 love. Then I've been using these, again, the Deliums. See, I have a lot of the yellow. See all the yellow?
Okay, yes.
Those are the Deliums. And then the other ones I have in here are London Brush Company, which are a lot of these.
Also really great.
Yeah. And then I have these favorite brushes, and then I have some MAC. You know, you always have your standby from a long time ago. So I do like a concealer with these fibers that are higher again, because you can blend things out. You can put a tiny bit of product on the edges, and you can just dab, and then you can just feather it out. And it's very, very, very light and very natural. And then the one that is more dense is for when you are really needing to pack something in. You know, if you're fixing right, if you're really doing a lot of coverage, if there's some acne or something that you're layering, then a more denser brush. But then sometimes I'll go back in with this lighter brush with the fibers, and I'll feather it out around the edges. So, you know, it's like an artist. You know, you're just picking things as you see them, and it's never always the same. You know, you kind of see a brush, you think, I think I'm going to use that today. I'm going to try that. But my go-tos, you know, are the ones I'm showing you.
And mine are easy. They're easy. I mean, you can already see the difference between, you know, just by doing that little bit of a cut. You know, that's all I did was take you guys this stiff nylon brush, and I just went and I did a cut with my right here to create a lift. Tammy, no, we don't. I haven't used a sponge in a really long time. I know the beauty blender is a really big thing. Not a fan. I get most of my work done with my brushes and my fingers. I feel like it's a lot more hygienic than a sponge. For me personally, I mean, that's just me.
I agree.
Moving on. So that is your complexion. And then, of course, powder. We went into, for powder, using like a really soft bristled brush that you can kind of get in where you need it. You know, I tend to get shiny right here, so I'll do it right here. But that's the extent of it for my face. I won't go any more than that.
Okay. This one I love. This one is from London Brush Company, and it's like a triangle. I don't know if you can, that doesn't work. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a shape of a triangle. So you can use it on the flat side. You can use it like for, you know, smaller areas. You can use it long wise. I mean, this is a multi-use brush, and it's super, super soft. So I really like this shape. I have a lot of fun with this shape, just using it in all different parts of my face.
I like this one too, if I just need like a dusting.
Yes.
Remember, Tracy, we used to do a lot of body makeup.
Yes,
so a lot of you guys don't know this, but whoever would go on television, whatever celebrity we were working on, we would put a full, you know, silicone foundation on their body. And then we took a big brush like this and buff it out with the powder. So if you've got like a special occasion, you can do that with your shoulders, anywhere. But I still do like the big fluffies, you know.
Right. And the Visior body makeup we used to use, and the other one that's really nice too is the KKW, the Kim Kardashian West. She has a really nice body makeup, and it's thicker and it doesn't move. Once it dries down, it doesn't move. So you don't have to do it everywhere, but you can buff it out, and it doesn't go on your clothes once it's dry. And you can even put a tiny bit of translucent powder over to set it. And
I'm still obsessed with the Makeup Forever.
Yes.
The silicone based one that you shake up, and then it just looks like you've got like
skin,
the most incredible skin in the world.
Yes.
I know you have this on your station. Like, I still love it.
Here it is. I know. I love it. I love it.
This is Passport to Beauty, you guys, but this is that whipped elixir from Spain that I created that I love. I mean, it gives you kind of the same effect.
And it smells so good. It smells so good.
To Spain with the orange, but like, again, you know, it gives you this nice even tone, which was a big secret that we did on every celeb we worked on. They would not leave our makeup room without body makeup on.
And to give you just another little tidbit, it was really hard to come off. So they would come in the next day sometimes and say, I had to soak in the tub for 2 hours to get it off. Or they would say, I didn't have time to soak for 2 hours, so I still have a little bit on.
When Tracey and I, you guys, when we worked on the weekends, we had a lot that would still show up. I'm not going to say who.
Oh, I know.
The lashes from the week before, and like one time you had to wash her hair because she just went.
Yes. You know, there's only so much you can do with like, 7-8 day old hair.
Yeah. No, we've seen it all, you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So foundations, guys, nylon brushes, synthetic hair brushes, powder, you're going to go with a lighter, fluffier brush, or at least one that is a very soft hair, very soft.
Yes.
They've got squirrel hair, and now they have like, the faux hair. But if you were going to buy the real hairs, and it's cruelty free, guys. They don't go and kill the animal for the hair. They give them a haircut. But like squirrel hair is one of my favorite for brushes, especially when it comes to doing eye makeup.
Yes.
I like to put in with my angle brush, my crease brush. And this just does all the work for you, right? When you've got a good crease brush,
right,
shape to it, and it's a softer hair, what it does is actually, you can see the powder coming. What it does is it actually deposits the powder for you. And you end up not really having to, if you're a novice, like most of our customers that are still learning the best way to do their makeup, Tracey, like this does the work for you.
It does.
Kinds of brushes do everything for you. You don't have to sit there and worry. I'll just show you.
Here it is right here. I cannot live without this brush. I can do anything with this brush. I can do corners. I can do creases. I can do blending. I can do under the eye. If I had one brush for the eye, I could do everything with this, except for probably an eyeliner. I can't even.
This one is my favorite.
Tiny little eyeliner.
But this one will go in and like literally, you just like a windshield wiper, just go back and forth.
Yes.
You guys. So that's one. And then obviously, for me, my other favorite one for eyes is the angle brush, because I like to under and do eyeshadow. And then I also really use this one a lot, Tracey, for my brows. Like I use eyeshadow for my brows. I don't use a pencil anymore. I need powder that's going to stay, because, you
have to do it.
Right. Yeah, I'll literally take an eyeshadow and just go in and shape my brow with this.
This is another brush from London Brush Company that is triangled. I'm trying to do this. It's triangle. Where is it? Right there. It's the same shape as this, but it's much smaller. So this one, you could get in the corners. You could do the creases. You could do the edges. You can do underneath, because you have the pointed at the end, and then you have the sides that you can blend. You can fluff. So there are a couple brushes. If I only needed maybe 3 or 4 brushes, I could do it. I truly could do it. But the one that I can't live without is the spoolie.
Oh, for brows?
I can't live without it. It's just one of those brushes that I absolutely I have to have it, because it really it just makes the brow look so much more natural, and I can't get it more natural with anything but a spoolie.
So I just want to show everybody these. Like, if you notice that all of our eye brushes, whether it's Tracey's triangle or my crease ones, they all have like a shape to them. They're all pointed. These smaller ones, these are MAC. These ones are going to be more for like more definition. If you want like a really sexy, smoky eye, and you want to really place a lot of color in the corner, that's when you're going to use a smaller, tighter brush. But for your everyday, you're going to really want to go into these more crease fluffy brushes that kind of just go in and do the work for you.
Yes, they do the work for you. And you can deposit color with them, and you can blend it out if you need to. So you can do both. You just wipe it on your Kleenex, your tissue, and clean it a little bit and blend it out. Because, it doesn't have to be 65 brushes like my set. But
no, not at all. Like, I think, the set that we sell on Passport 2 for 6, 8, 11. So these are 11 brushes. I'll show you. You're getting all your nylon ones.
I love those shapes.
This is not. This isn't an angle one. This is actually the same. Does the same thing as angle, but it's a front.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So you can really go in. You can do the tight line with this. on the top as well.
Right.
Then of course you've got your angle brush, which is going to be really good for under and brows. And if you want to do super definition. And then of course the lip brushes, again, you know, lip brushes are great if you're using the nylon synthetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they clean better too. You can sanitize them easier.
Okay, 2 questions. What's your favorite blending brush? I mean, for me, I tend to use my fingers for the blending, but going back to if it's powder, I'm just going with a really soft powder brush to really get in there and blend. Tracey's got hers where she gets to go in and really,
Yes.
you know.
I can do it like from the tip and blend, or I can, you know, blend, you know, put a little more pressure on it. So there's definitely, this is a multi-use. Like I said, I can't live without this brush.
And
That's
what is, how are you cleaning your brushes? So one of the things I think a lot of women forget is the one they need to clean their brushes on a regular basis, because then you're applying bacteria, you're applying old makeup, you're not even getting your true color when you don't clean your brushes.
That's exactly right. So I mean, I'm gonna probably get a lot of flack for this, but you know, if you buy the brush, if you have natural bristles, you're gonna want to use the brush cleaner that the person sells with the brushes. But really, sometimes I just use straight up Dawn, because I use a lot of these. Now, let me clarify that. If I'm using my own brushes, I will use like a nice shampoo. It's fine. But if it's a creamy synthetic, like say this one, I will use a Dawn because it cuts the grease, and it really does. Yeah. Now, for my work, I use straight up Dawn, and then I dip it in 70% alcohol, and I let it dry, because that's the only way that I can get it disinfected and sanitized properly. And yes, it kills the bristles. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's horrible.
It's horrible. But with COVID, and even before COVID, see, what people don't understand, as a makeup artist, we have been doing, hopefully, most of us have been doing COVID protocols without the goggles and the shield and the mask. But as far as sanitizing, we don't double dip in our powders. We don't double dip in the mascaras. We use disposables for everything. And we're cleaning our brushes constantly. I mean, constantly. In between every person, we're cleaning them, and not just a little, you know, rub on a tissue. We are soaking them, washing them with soap and water, dipping them in the alcohol and letting them dry. So it's really important to clarify that straight up 70% alcohol is going to kill your brushes.
Yeah, a lot of actually everyday women that aren't doing professional makeup artistry, that have their own brush sets, will think that alcohol, you know, is an easy way, or even some of the brush cleaners, which I find can be harsh. They usually will mess up my bristles.
Yes, they do.
For me, like a baby shampoo, you know, once or twice a week, or like you said, if I'm using my brushes for any of the wet, you know, formulas like creams, liquids, foundations, I do have to use a dishwashing detergent to get that grease. And I'll use Dawn or whatever I have at my kitchen sink. But it's important to wash your, you know, brushes at least once a week at home, ladies.
Don't condition them. Do not condition them, because the conditioner is too greasy and it gets on the bristles, and then it doesn't pick up the product properly, and then you're putting the conditioner in your face and it streaks and it blotches. Don't condition your brushes with conditioner.
Yeah.
You're going to take really good care of your own brushes. Use a really good brush cleaner that maybe comes with the brush set, or buy one that's a different brand, but that is a makeup brush cleaner. Unless you're, you know, really using a lot of creamy stuff that you need to cut. Like if you're doing Halloween makeup, definitely use your Dawn.
Yeah, if you're doing Halloween, most of the Halloween effects makeup is grease-based.
Yes.
Grease makeup. So you're going to have to use a dishwashing detergent to cut that out of your brushes. And it might be a multiple wash on that, you know.
Exactly.
Really, you have to do like a double shampoo. Same thing with your brushes. If you're using anything with oil or grease in it, you're going to have to wash it a couple of times. So Tracey, I have been so lucky to have you for this long.
Oh, thank you.
But can we leave with one fun story? I mean, I know we talked about Rodney with his food, but is there like one really, do you remember? I have a fun story. Do you guys remember? Okay, guys. So Tracey and I used to work these long marathon shows like Survivor. We did this Survivor. we did the very first Survivor reunion.
We did. Oh.
And they had just come off the island.
Well, they came off 3 months earlier because
they were still sick. Remember, with malaria?
Yes. They were very sick. They had been off the island for 3 months, but this was the very first finale. So they didn't really think it through because it was the first show. So we had to we looked at pictures of them from the last day on the show, and we had to recreate their look from the last day on the island.
Except they had gained weight.
Yes, 3 months later, their hair was longer, it was a different color, they gained weight, some were sick. We were sitting in a small room with like 6 makeup artists and 6 of the survivors, and one of the girls said, oh yeah, I think I have malaria. And just, can you pass me, you know, the tissue? And we all sort of stopped what we were doing and looked at each other and thought, she has malaria? And then someone else chimed in and said, oh yeah, I scratched a bite on my leg and this worm crawled out of my leg. And we just had to stand there and act like we were just flies on the wall. We just were completely stunned with what they were telling us.
And you guys, these would be like 24, 36-hour shifts. So we would have to entertain ourselves when they'd be shooting. We did a bunch of telethons. And I remember one night we decided to color my hair at like 2 a.m. and accidentally made it jet black. It was
a little too dark.
Horrible. But then our boss had put in some orange too. So remember, I looked like a calico cat. You guys were just.
And we had to do all that in between the times that we would have to stop what we were doing and run on set and touch the actors up. And so Shalini was in the back with all this hair color on her hair. And we were covering for her because people were saying, where's Shal? Where's Shal? We're like, oh, she's fine. She's over there. Meantime, she has all this hair color on her hair and was panicking. And we had to run back. We were using Prel. We were using all kinds of
Dawn.
Yes, to get
oh my God.
Her hair was all wet. Oh my God, it was hysterical. It was like 4 a.m, I think, at that point.
I'll have to go through my pictures and just like find some really fun pictures of the stuff that we worked on together. But Tracey, thank you so much. Like, I hope we can do more things with you. It's always fun to like, you know, get the insight of what happens on set, your 700 brushes versus my little set that I keep in my bag all the time.
More than welcome.
And you guys, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments for us, and we'll go in. I'll have Tracey kind of list when you have time, Tracey, if you can go in and just list a couple of your favorite brushes and names. That would be awesome. And thanks, guys. Thank you,
You're
Tracey.
welcome. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. See you soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.